Pedro was 37 years old, but his body felt like it was 60. He was the father of two energetic little kids, a devoted husband, and a man who used to feel strong. But in the past few years, he had felt himself slowly disappearing. It wasn't just the weight. It was the exhaustion, the brain fog, the constant pain, and the worst part was the feeling that no one could help. He had tried everything. Diet, supplements, the gym, but the results never stayed then. Came the day that changed everything. His doctor looked at him with concern and said, "Pedro, if you don't change, your body will give up on you." That sentence echoed in his chest. It was like a ticking clock. And something in Pedro finally woke up that night. He sat in silence, just him and a laptop, and he typed, "Can fasting heal the body?" What he discovered would change everything. Pedro was on the edge of developing type 2 diabetes. His blood sugar was rising. His blood pressure was dangerous, and he couldn't even climb a flight of stairs without gasping for air. What was happening inside his body was something called insulin resistance. After years of eating more than he needed, his pancreas had been producing insulin constantly. Insulin is a hormone that acts like a key. It unlocks the doors of our cells, so glucose can enter and be used for energy, but Pedro's cells had stopped responding. They were numb, so insulin built up, glucose stayed in the blood, and the fat kept growing. His body was inflamed, sluggish, tired. Most people don't realize, but over 80% of adults show signs of insulin resistance. And Pedro was one of them, but he was about to do something radical. He was going to stop eating, not forever, just for 10 days. On the first day of fasting, Pedro drank only water, no food, no sugar, no stimulation, just silence. His stomach growled, his head throbbed, his hands trembled slightly. The body was used to food every few hours, but now it had to dig into its reserves after about 12 hours. The liver started to release glycogen. A short-term fuel stored for emergencies. By the end of day one, that glycogen was almost gone on the second day. His body switched to burning fat. The state is called ketosis and ketosis. The body breaks down fat into ketones. A cleaner fuel used by the brain, the heart, and the muscles. Pedro felt weak, foggy, dizzy at times, but deep inside, his body was starting to heal. Day 3 was the hardest. His thoughts were loud. His body wanted comfort, but he stayed the course. Then came day 5, and everything changed. The hunger was gone, the fog lifted, and Pedro felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace, not excitement, not energy, but clarity. His mind felt open. Focus, calm. What was happening was something called autophagy. Autophagy means self-eating. It's the body's way of cleaning house. It finds damaged cells, toxic proteins, and cellular waste, and breaks them down into fuel. This process helps prevent disease, boost immunity, and even slow down aging. Pedro's body was renewing itself from the inside out. Even his brain was changing. Fasting increases BDNF, a brain-derived neurotrophic factor. which helps grow new neurons and strengthen connections. Pedro felt that he could read again. Focus again, breathe again. He prayed, not to ask for something, but to say thank you. By the 10th day, Pedro looked like a different man, not just on the outside, but inside too. He wasn't just lighter, he was free. His blood test results were astonishing. Glucose down, triglycerides cut in half, blood pressure normalized, inflammation. Markers reduced, insulin sensitivity was returning, his cells were listening again. He had energy, he had joy, he was no longer controlled by cravings. He had broken the cycle, he could walk, play, laugh. Without pain, and most importantly, he trusted his body. Again. Pedro never went back to the old version of himself, not because he couldn't, but because he didn't want to. He had found something in the silence and the struggle that nothing else could offer. He kept fasting as a rhythm, not every day, but when needed, as a spiritual reset, because for Pedro, fasting was not deprivation. It was liberation. It wasn't about skipping meals. It was about making space. For healing, for clarity, for connection. In the Bible, Isaiah 58 says, "Is this not the kind of fast I have chosen to break the chains of injustice, to set the oppressed free?" Pedro understood that now. Fasting freed his body, but it also healed his soul. If this story moved you, leave a comment below, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and send us your story. Even anonymously, because every body carries a battle, and every desert can lead to a promised land.